next chapter, we are going to discuss suggestions for positions and movement during your labor to help make your contractions more comfortable and to encourage your baby to navigate the pelvis as effectively as possible.
Remember healthy birth practice number 2, which is move around and change positions throughout labor. A good rule of thumb is to try a different position every hour. If you have a favorite position, try to alternate that with another position just to give yourself more movement. If you have an epidural, some of these positions can be modified. Just ask your nurse or your doula or provider to help you with positions that will be helpful for an epidural.
Next, Jody and I are going to walk through 5 positions that you might find helpful during your labor. One position that many laboring parents find helpful and effective in easing the discomfort of contractions is sitting on a birth ball. While we sit on the birth ball, we are opening up our pelvis, we are allowing for a more upright and active position. And we can up the ante even more by incorporating a movement, such as circling of the hips while we sit on the birth ball. This position is great because it helps to relax the muscles, open up the pelvis dynamically, and gives you a difference in atmosphere while you are laboring. One thing to remember while you're doing this position is however many times you turn your hips to the left, you'll want to make sure you do the same to the right. Balance is incredibly important to the pelvis during labor. While laboring parent is on the birth ball, you'll want to make sure that you have a support person nearby, just for an extra bit of safety and balance. After a while, if hip circles become too tiring for you, you can always incorporate a bounce on the birth ball instead. Good. You're doing so great. A forward lean is a great position for folks who are experiencing back pain during labor, or who are looking for something in the middle of active and restful. In this position, take advantage of a birth ball, or you can do this while in your hospital bed or at home. You'll want to think about keeping your knees about shoulder width apart and providing a nice hammock for your belly to lay so that your baby has room to make any necessary internal adjustments on the inside. Additionally, if you're suffering from hemorrhoids during your pregnancy, this can be an awesome position in easing that discomfort. During this time, partners might find it helpful to provide more hands-on support to laboring parent, such as providing a warm compress, a cold pack, or massage throughout the course of this position. It's important to remember to keep your knees about shoulder width apart so that you're able to maximize the amount of space in your pelvis. Next, let's talk about asymmetrical pelvic tilts. Another way to utilize the birth ball and while still being on your knees is to use the asymmetrical pelvic tilt as a motion and movement throughout the course of your labor. During this time, birthing parent will rest their top half on top of the birth ball while placing a leg out to the side to provide a lovely stretch to the hamstrings and the quads. During this time, you'll want to make sure that you balance the pelvis. What you do to one side, you want to make sure that you do to the other. Slow dancing is a great way to get up out of the bed and utilize an upright position without having to exert too much energy. This is a great way for you to connect with your partner or another support person. During this time, you might experience more effective contractions thanks to the boost in oxytocin that you might experience, especially if you are dancing with a loved one. A great way to take even more advantage of this movement is by putting on some music. Perhaps you've created a labor and birth playlist even before you've gotten into the hospital. This music can be anything that gets you up and moving. Perhaps it's something energetic and exciting, or a bit more subdued and relaxed. Whatever you decide to put on that playlist, make sure that it feels good to you and will encourage you to move around. Don't worry if it doesn't look perfect. You are there to help make yourself comfortable, and your support person will aid you in the process. The last position that we'll talk about is the supported squat. Much like the upright and active slow dancing, a supported squat can be a great way to move your body while out of the bed. This position does require a support person to be nearby, as they will literally be holding you throughout the process. Don't worry, breaks are there if you need them. During this position, many birthing parents feel a decompression of the low back, which can help aid in the comfortability during labor contractions. During this time, you'll want to remember to eat and drink throughout your labor. Remember, it's important to maintain nutrition and hydration throughout the course of your labor. And partners, if birthing parent is eating and drinking, you should be eating and drinking too. We need you rested and feeling at your best to support. This is by no means an exhaustive list of the positions that you can utilize during your labor. What's most important is that you find positions that work best for you, practice them ahead of time before you go into labor, and make sure that you listen to your body throughout the entire process.